He was just 15 when it all changed. One minute, Emeka was sitting in the back seat of his parents' car, singing along to the radio. The next, there was a blinding light, a deafening crash, and silence. That accident took both his parents, and with them, the only world he'd ever known. In the weeks that followed, Emeka drifted through reality like a ghost. Family friends whispered, neighbors stared with pity, and the only person who stepped forward to take him in was his father's younger brother, Uncle Ike. Ike was a man of few words and even fewer smiles. He lived in a large but cold bungalow at the edge of the city, where the curtains always stayed drawn and the air smelled like smoke and secrets. At first, Emeka tried to understand him, to connect. But the warmth he craved was never returned. The house was a maze of quiet tension. Emeka spent his days cleaning, cooking, and keeping out of the way. He noticed the visitors who came late at night, men in flashy clothes with quick eyes, whispering over locked suitcases. He overheard conversations, caught fragments of coded talk about deliveries and routes. It wasn't long before Uncle Ike tried to bring him in. "You're grown now," he said one evening, arms folded across his chest. "It's time you earned your keep." But Emeka refused. Every cell in his body recoiled at the thought. He couldn't dishonor the memory of his parents like that. They had taught him better. So, he said no. From that day, life in the house changed. The chores doubled. The meals shrank. The glances turned cold. And the worst part, there was nowhere else to go. Emeka often wandered the streets after school, sitting at the edge of a park, scribbling poetry into a tattered notebook. Writing was his only escape, his only sanctuary. Words helped him breathe. One afternoon, while sitting beneath the old mango tree in the park, he noticed a girl sketching by herself. Her hair was braided neatly, her jeans were painted with faded stars, and her focus was intense. Her name, he later learned, was Adanna. She didn't talk much at first. But Emeka saw something familiar in her quietness, a storm she had tamed. They began to meet often. Sometimes they talked. Sometimes they just sat in silence. And slowly, silence turned into laughter, and laughter into long walks, and those walks became the best part of his day. Adanna wasn't just beautiful, she was kind, curious, and full of questions Emeka had never been asked before. What do you dream about? What scares you the most? What's the one thing no one knows about you? And Emeka found himself opening up. He told her everything. About the accident. The house. His uncle. His dreams of being a writer. He thought she'd walk away. But she didn't. Instead, she brought him books. Encouraged his poems. She introduced him to her mother, a librarian who wore glasses too big for her face and made the best okra soup. Her home smelled of old paper and joy. Weeks passed. Then months. One evening, Emeka shared his dream of publishing a story. Adanna simply smiled and said, "Then let's start." They spent weekends editing his manuscript. She designed the cover. Her mother helped find a local publisher who took a chance on his words. And just like that, Emeka's book was born. When Uncle Ike found out, he scoffed. Books don't put food on the table. But Emeka didn't flinch this time. He was already building a life beyond that cold bungalow. With Adanna by his side, he didn't feel lost anymore. The book, a collection of stories and poems titled Surviving Shadows, gained attention. First, in their community. Then on social media. People connected with his words, especially the youth. His story, of loss, struggle, and light, spoke to many. One day, a local TV station invited him for an interview. He stood there, camera lights in his face, wearing a shirt Adanna picked for him, his heart pounding. They asked about his journey, and Emeka spoke, not with bitterness, but with grace. He talked about pain, but also about love. The kind that saves you. The kind that teaches you to rise. Uncle Ike watched the interview from home. For once, he said nothing. Not a word. Just stared at the screen in silence. Weeks later, Emeka moved out. He found a small apartment not far from Adanna's place. She helped him paint the walls and curtains, plant a small garden on the balcony. They laughed a lot during those days. And on one quiet Saturday morning, as they sat on the balcony sipping zobo, Emeka turned to her and said, "I think I loved you the moment you handed me that book." Adanna smiled, leaned in close, and whispered, "I loved you the moment you said no." They were both young. They had little. But they had each other. And sometimes, that's more than enough. Because love isn't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes, it's found in quiet resistance, in gentle moments, in people who see your scars and still choose to stay.